Hello, everyone. Welcome to the pilot episode of Div0 Unfiltered. Well, you're most probably wondering what the hell is Div0 Unfiltered. Basically, as the name suggests, we are just a group of Division Zero crews and friends who come together and talk about everything there is to cybersecurity. I'm your host. I'm Pengfei, current year 4 student in Singapore Institute of Technology. Hopefully, going to graduate soon so I can do something meaningful with my life. Let me introduce you to my co-host over here, Farley. Farley, you want to talk to them about yourself?
Thanks, Pengfei. So my name is Farley, as Pengfei mentioned, and I'm working for a financial company right now. And I've been doing threat intelligence for almost 6 years. And my total career in cybersecurity, or at least in the cyber domain, is almost 16 years now. So really looking forward to see how this goes. Yep, back to you, Pengfei.
Really old man. All right, let's move on to the permanent members on the group itself. Next we have Randen.
Hi, I'm Randen. I work for a tech company here in Singapore, headquartered in Singapore, and I mainly focus in software development and infrastructure architecture. But I have a background in threat intelligence for I think 3-4 years now, and I'm also interested in doing high level malware analysis. And as with my background for infra, then I also have the understanding of how malware operators build their infrastructure.
Nice.
Thanks,
Nice. All right, let's move on to the last but not least of our permanent members here. I'm going to move on to Izzat.
Hi everyone, my name is Izzat. I'm currently working in a financial company. I've been doing threat intel for about 5 years, and I've been in industry for as long as that as well. What else? Yeah, I think that's all. So back to you, Pengfei. Actually, I got one thing to add. Farley, do you realize that your length in cybersecurity is almost as long as Pengfei's life or age? Just saying, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's crazy.
You should call me Daddy Bo.
I think me and Fadli is on the same age, right?
Hey, dude, if you think I'm old, you should hear about our guest Pan Yong, man.
Nice. Just nice. Let's move on to our guest member for the first season. Let's introduce Pan Yong.
So I'm the old man in the house. Yeah. So don't guess. I'm born the year of ox, but don't guess my age. So yeah, Pengfei can truly call me daddy. I think won't be too far off. So yeah, I've been creating for Div0 for a couple of years now. I founded a cybersecurity startup, teaching people how to hack and do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So quite excited to be a guest today. I want to hear all the interesting stuff. Yeah. I won't give old man advice. I will learn for the young guys. Yeah.
Nice. I think we should name the show to Pengfei and Daddies. If this we're going on at this rate. All right, last but not least, we have with us our guest, Emil. I'll just let Emil introduce himself. He has so much stuff to say.
I'm not gonna say a lot. Hi guys, hi everyone. I am Emil. I'm one of the co-founders with Fadli in Division 0. I'm just a guest today. I'm here just being curious and excited to hear from our unfiltered crew what they have to say about the topic of today. And I'm just a kepokian, right? Just drinking my tea at this hour. Yeah, that's all for that's pretty much all the role I'm gonna play in the unfiltered session. I will just jump in whenever I have any rant to express. Thanks, Pengfei.
Right, guys, do let us know if you enjoy Emil. If you don't really, we will kick him off next season. All right.
Yeah. I just renamed myself to old man in the house. You like it? Yeah.
All right, OMIH. That's what we're gonna call you now. Yeah. Nice. Okay, guys. Let's move on to talk about our topic at hand today. Something really huge just came up like last 2 weeks. Actually, it started all the way back in December, but it was only released in the news like officially last week. is the biggest news that has hit Singapore so far in 2021. I mean, it's only been 2 months and we already have such a huge data leak. So of course, I'm pretty sure some of our viewers or listeners already know what we're going to talk about is the Singtel data leak through the Aselian FTA software. So of course, first of all, let's just give some little bit of background about how big the damage is going to be and how many people are affected. So apparently, according to official records, there's about 129,000 Singtel customers who's had their personal data stolen. And the hack has happened all the way since we don't really know when did it exactly happen because the report hasn't come out with it yet. But we know that it was only discovered in mid-December. It was communicated to Singtel only in like about 10 days after Aselian has discovered it. Then subsequently from there, they patched it and they only released an official statement somewhere in early February. Yeah, so we're here today to really talk to among ourselves. There's no one else really for us to talk to among ourselves about how do we exactly feel about this situation and what could have been done better? Because we're already in 2021 and we're still having this kind of huge data leaks in regards to personal data. I mean, IC numbers are lost. Pretty sure they're going to get smacked really hard by, I shall not say the organization or the authority is going to smack them, but they're going to get smacked really hard. Yeah. So how do you guys feel about it? Since especially with all my peers over here who are like their career is really longer than my entire existence. Yeah, let's start with Farley first.
Oh, thanks, Pengfei. I think the challenge here for Singtel is the fact that this is quite a unique event, or I would say a unique cyber attack incident, because the fact is it's not a generic vulnerability that was exploited. It was actually a 0-day. And you know, when we talk about 0-day, it's basically the unknowns, right? And the organization that have been hit by the first 0-day are the ones that will be suffering the most. And that's when other organizations will start to learn what exactly happened from that particular ground zero attack. So I would say that Singtel, as much as they try to protect their customers and clients, apparently they just couldn't run away from being targeted with 0-day attack. Now, how do I feel about this? I think it's been a shocking week, you know, and this is not the first time where such a breach happened in Singapore. If you look back since 2014, SingPass, then after that you start to realize move over a few years later, then Singapore Management Institute, Singapore Management University, was it? Oh, SMU, yeah. And then after that, SMU. Yeah, then there was like the National University of Singapore was hit by Iranian cyber attack, and then you have SingHealth, then you have Singapore Technologies. If you do realize there is a pattern against this, right? That there is a Sing inside this.
So it's cursed, huh? If you've got a Sing in the name, it's cursed.
SingPass, SingHealth, Singapore, and now is Singtel, you know. Perhaps next time we SingCert or SingPost.
Choice, no one, I'm touching wood now.
but just the thing, right? 0-day attacks is hard to stop, right? And definitely is something that's definitely worth looking at. You know, how do we protect such things from happening again? And this is something that I think we can actually discuss in here.
Yeah, definitely. So actually, just to add on with the 0-day attack kind of thing, because Aselian actually released an official statement in January on their website, guys. If you can go check it out. So they actually announced it on their website that they say they have been telling their clients who are using FTA, which is an end-of-line product, to actually ditch it and move on to their later product, the more modern products. But they say they have been telling the clients for 3 years, and they're basically just, tossing this entire responsibility right now, as in their official statement itself, to their clients who are utilizing their products. So I personally feel like it's quite when this kind of thing happens, obviously they will need to go into damage control. So once they go into damage control, they start tossing this kind of pot around, and nobody really wants to say, hey, you know, it's my fault. It's my fault. You know, I'm the problem. I'm the reason why this entire breach happened. And now we're just, you know, looking back and we just say, oh, this is actually a 0-day, you know, issue. And prior to that, I did a little bit of research on, you know, all the CVEs that was released against FDA. As we all know that when we went on the CVE websites themselves, we went to check it out. Aselion's FDA has been hit with many CVEs, but the latest one that was signed up was so many years ago, as there's like no more new ones that were published in the last 2 years at least. So do you feel like I'm opening up this to everybody as long as you have anything to talk in about? So do you feel like, you know, active bug bounty or active security researchers looking for bugs within your product could really help you like secure your software? Let's go on to Randen. Or Farley or Izzat, yeah, whoever wants to say anything.
Yeah, so bug bounty, bug bounty can definitely help find out vulnerabilities in the system, but there are limitations to bug bounty, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have access to the technology, or no third party can access the technology, you won't be able to find any bug bounty hunters looking into it. So this is one of the limitation. The other one is most of the bug bounty hunters can only access like web and mobile applications. So if it's an enterprise platform, probably bug bounty hunters might not have access to this, and and this kind of vulnerabilities might not be easily being found by bug bounty hunters. But it is
right.
There's an advantage if they have a bug bounty program.
Of course. And then how else do you think like companies could, you know, secure themselves against 0 days, or you know, especially one that's so huge? Because right now we're only talking about Singtel because we're based in Singapore, but the breach on Aselion has hit 100+ companies or 100+ entities by themselves, and the breach is like massive. How can companies, you know, really secure themselves in this sense?
I think companies should be proactive instead of being reactive. I think currently what we've seen right now is that most of the companies are just reacting to any cyber incident. So there was a discussion in one of the forums that even in threat intelligence, the security professional should be doing proactive instead of just being reactive to any existing or to an existing incident.
Nice.
Is that an economics issue? Because Pengfei was sharing that several has sent out the message, hey, this product is end of life, right? We're going to spot it, go fix it. But when that happened, right, the Singtel, for example, any customer who use their FDA product will have to put a budget paper and spend some money and say, look, is there how expensive the product? Do I have a few $1 million in our apparatus to spend and do the upgrade? So there is a economic consideration to be proactive, right? So that's really one aspect. And sometimes as a customer, you thought, is that a scheme from the solution provider to just sell me more stuff, right?
Right.
End of life, get me from Windows 9 to Windows 10 so they can pay you another $300. And I mean, there are the economics consideration. I'm sure just open consideration. That is really the economics of things. Is there a better system to deal with that? We know softwares go end of life. We know sometimes there's a problem supporting it. How do we get past that procurement process of spending money? And what should company do, right, to get the latest software without bursting the bank all the time, right?
Yeah, I think then this kind of issue that the company themselves have to increase on the spending, especially in their risk analysis of different kind of products that they're utilizing. Let's say, for example, like if they were to come up with a risk analysis of the current FDA software, then, you know, they can see, you know, hey, this thing is going to be end of line. The chances of it hitting a 0 day is way higher than me migrating it out. Then is, you know, like this kind of stuff, is it gonna mess it up, or should I proceed on with this particular product and all that kind of stuff? But bring it back all the way to Singtel. How else do you guys think like Singtel could have done it better instead of pushing all the blame on Aselian? Let's move on to Izzat. Share your views with us, please. Oh, master.
I don't think Singtel actually pushed the blame to Aselian, did they?
No, they don't.
So from what I've read, Singtel, well, in a way, I guess they're trying to defend themselves, but they did say that they patched the system immediately once Aselion released the patches, and then a month later, Aselion came back saying, "Hey, there's a new vulnerability that the previous patch didn't address," and then when Singtel did that patch, then they found that hey, we've been breached. And they did actually share that they identified the breach on the 20th of January. So, and just to add on what you said previously, where FT has been end of life for about 3 years, wasn't it? Was it 3 years?
That was on the report. Actually, I'm not sure whether it was released as end of life or were they just like saying it's going to be end of life and you should migrate out. They were not very clear in their statement.
I don't know. Personally, I feel that 3 years is a really long time.
Yeah.
For you to address with your procurement and that. So, I mean, I think every organization has their own legacy systems. So in a way, there should be certain controls. I mean, I don't sound very cliche, but defense in depth should have been in place. To protect your jewels, basically. I'm not sure if it's something that can be avoided, but I think it's something that we can learn from moving forward. Yeah.
Definitely.
Let me add something to that. If you look at Aselion FTA, right? One of the things that we know about this is Aselion actually mentioned, I mean, ways before this breach, that they have this product called Kiteworks. Kiteworks is like a new or upgraded version of FTA, right? So in fact, Aselion recommend their customers to actually upgrade from FTA to Kiteworks.
Yep.
Right. And if you look now, is in the past we have this mindset, if it's not spoiled or if it's not, there's no issue with it, don't patch, right? But we have, ever since a lot of things happening right now, you start to realize, like what Randen said, we have to be proactive and not reactive. Not something happened, then you start to react. So even so, to me, Singtel, at least they need to keep up with the latest standard, or at least the software version that has already been upgraded. I'm pretty sure, in the past when I was working for government sectors, every time, even there was no issue with the current version, but when Symantec or any other product that release a new version, they will make it a point to upgrade to that latest version, right? And I think Singtel should adopt to that practice also, right? It's not just waiting for something to happen, then you start to react, right? So that the fact that Aselion did mention that Kiteworks is the upgraded version of FTA.
Yeah, definitely.
Adhere to that and really consider, despite the economics, to embrace the new product instead, right? So this is a bit hard to say lah, right? But that's the fact lah, right?
Yeah, of course we can be saying it because it happened, but Singtel is like, if it didn't happen, then Singtel will be like, hey, this is still gonna work. It's just getting old, but it's still working.
It's a matter of when,
Let me say at a point. I'm not trying to defend Singtel, but again, it's real. In a way, it's complex. And Farley, you work in a bank, you probably know, right? Or in the financial sector, many companies deploy AD, hundreds of security product, and several FTA is actually a security product. It's meant to protect, and it's always very difficult to say, look, there you go again, right? There's another product upgrade. So even though it's a long, you have a long 3 years, right? The hard reality is the CISO have to go and report the CEO, right? I know you give me a bunch of budget to buy 80 different products to protect our entire real estate, right? By the way, the cycle runs every year to do another update again. I felt that there is a broader issue of how software and products are being released in the market, and that people are in a way kind of tired of so many products. And it's sort of how to deal with that noise, right? And say, look, we thought the last product was the silver bullet to stop every single cyber attack, right? And here we go again. There's one more product to buy and one more updates to do. I'm not sure. It's real hard practical problem. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, definitely.
so my take is, I think this is where you need to analyze and assess your third-party suppliers and products, right? So for example, things like FTA. To be technically correct, FTA is not a security product. They are a file transfer application, but they call themselves a secure file transfer application. Not really a security product like a firewall or antivirus system, right? It's just a secure, like SSH or those kind of thing, but a more secure version of file transfer. But like SFTP, for example, right? So when you have products like a product that handles or responsible for file servers, where you are going to input large amount of sensitive or confidential files, you need to prioritize this, right? What you mentioned, Panyong, is true, correct. There's so many versions. Sometimes 3 months later, there's a new version. So this is where you need to prioritize. You need to understand that, okay, this product, what is it look after? What is it looking at? Right? If this is just an endpoint that is just gonna look into a small bunch of stuff that is not critical in nature or classified in nature, then we can deprioritize this. But if this is handling things like confidential, sensitive data, confidential PII, customer client data, then this is something you need to prioritize, right? So it doesn't matter whether this comes 3 months later or 2 months later. If it handles this, because every time when there's a data breach, there's a template answer by organization. They will say the confidential of data is the utmost priority, right? So when you mention that in every data breach, you need to apply this as well, not just in words, but in practical form. So you need to apply patches as soon as possible. If there is an upgraded version, you need to do it, because you are not handling your internal data. You are handling customer data, client data, PII, sensitive data, right? So this is no exception. You can say that, this is, this will come another 3 months later, there will be a new batch. No, you have to, right? So this is where you need to classify and prioritize what's important and what's not.
So you can't. This is 36 months, right? The fact of the matter, yeah. So you can't push it back 3 years. That's the reality, right? Based on what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely.
Just gonna jump in a bit. Well, every time I don't know. I've actually reached a point of every time I see there's another incident, to me doesn't trigger a lot of emotions or reactions on me anymore. To me it's just like, oh, okay.
That's not okay, man.
You need empathy, man. Feel for it. Feel the problem. Yeah, feel the pain.
Yeah, it's all customer data. Your NRIC is out there.
No, the thing is my empathy is actually on the other end, which is the defender or the victim, because some of us we have done ops, right? We have done infra ops, we have done security ops, and it's hard. All of us, we know it's hard, and we only have X amount of hours a day. We can really protect everything, or we know that we can't even protect everything if we're just gonna work 24 hours without sleep for the next 50 years. Ain't gonna happen, right? When it comes to any incident, it's always gonna be hindsight 2020. We can start pinpointing what's going on, but we know actually when we go to work every day, it's always been the same thing. It's like, okay, we just do the best as we can. We know that there's gonna be loophole here and there. So whenever I see incident like this, to me, I empathize with, okay, sway lah, right? Farley mentioned about all the SIng, right? All the SIng being hacked. Because if it's Pang talk about economy of scale, concept earlier, attackers definitely, the first thing, if they want to earn big bucks, they want to bang on the right nail. First thing, of course, go to the SIng, right? You can't use SIng in your own company name nilly-willy, right? Yeah, so it's the thing about cybersecurity at the end of the day, it is still tough, and why I say it doesn't trigger lots of emotion in me, because at the end, fundamentals is still, there are two fundamentals that that was actually mentioned the last couple of minutes in the conversation, that we know that there is no silver bullet behind it, and it's still very hard to do it, which is actually all standards will mention these two things in the first two controls that they tell you to do: asset management, know your asset, software and hardware, and patching. Patching is hard, right? I still remember the first time I was given a web admin role. I got on it and I saw like there are 3 patches that I need to that is put on it. I was furious as a newbie cybersecurity personnel, coming in. I was like, how can my web server not be patched, right? I patch it, it went down immediately, and it's the thing about cybersecurity in security. One of the mantra that we always talk about is availability, and that's, I think, it's something that we always struggle with. So instead of attackers bringing something down, you are the one who brought it down because of security practice. Because patch is new software that is not tested in your environment yet, right? And there's a lot of new practice coming on, like some of DevSecOps practice coming on, talking about safer deployment of patches. But unfortunately, there's still a lot of legacy system, and I think that's the crutch of this particular incident as well. We're talking about legacy, and when you talk about patching on legacy, try convincing people who have been working in ICS organizations, your water utility plant, tell them to patch a PLC. I think they should probably look at you and go like, right, no. Yeah, so it's that's, I think, really well, in security, it's a great field that we are still in, because for the last 20-30 years, the fundamental is still, there's no right way to do the very fundamentals. We like to say that we want to be more proactive, we need to do this and that, but it's going to cost a lot of money as well, right? Not just the product, is even hiring cybersecurity professionals, practitioners, and all. Bug bounty was briefly mentioned earlier. I don't 100% think that bug bounty are going to help much, because most bug bounty, the scale is not there. Scale as in, or the scope is not there. Mainly bug bounty, people getting into bug bounty only expose their public infrastructure. And this particular case is very software based. And generally this belongs more towards VR, vulnerability research. And we know competitions like Pwn to Own. Look at the bounties they're giving out. And just imagine that level of investment. You going to the board of directors saying that, hey, all these things that we need to spend all this money just for protection, right? And you can't 100% say that will keep things away, because it's zero, and you say it right in the first sentence, 0 day. It's hard to defend, is there is no certainty. I think there's always going to be asymmetry in terms of what we security people would like to deploy, and also the returns that board of directors want to that they are ready to invest in. I think fundamentally a lot of fundamental questions that need to be asked, addressed. In the last 10, 15 years, I've been hearing things like shifting of culture, right? I think we also need to start thinking about shifting of engineering practice, or shifting of general cybersecurity practice as a whole. Enough rant from me.
let me counter some of the things that you mentioned. So for example, when you mentioned about patches and everything, I totally agree with you. Right? Sometimes when you patch something, then it's suddenly unavailable, blue screen or whatsoever. And you talk about ICS, when they ask for you to patch ICS, they will say, yeah, no. I totally agree with you. At the same time, this is why classification and priorities come into play, right? when there's patches available, we need to look at, okay, the prioritization of the patches. Is this a critical? Is this high? Is this medium? Is this, what's the severity level? If it's critical, then you need to look at, is this internet facing? If it's internet facing, and is there any exploitable? Is there any exploit available? Right. So you need to classify this thing. If it's ICS, no, usually, when I did assessment in Saudi Arabia, they never patch the system. They are still running Windows XP. But when we told them that you should patch this, they still have a Stuxnet MS080667 vulnerability. They don't care, because why? They are assured that they are not connected to the public internet, right? But they focus on the internet facing side. So any patches available that is rated as high and critical, they will prioritize it to patch it, right? So when you mention legacy system, so we need to look at, are these legacy system internal system that is not going to communicate to the public, right? If it's there, if it's not in the public, by all means stay inside that cave, man. No one's going to touch it. It's okay. All right. So there will definitely be some kind of controls, like we don't allow USB to come in to prevent from air gap and stuff like that. So yeah, there's definitely challenges, but if you put classification, prioritization, categorize them properly, I think you can definitely properly at least prioritize which one is important, which one you can secure effectively. But I think coming back to the FTA, I think it's also important to know that, like for example, Singtel, I think there's no excuse for Singtel to actually invest a lot. They make a lot of money every year, right? And definitely they bought Trustwave for millions of dollars. They have cybersecurity companies. They have threat intelligence departments inside. They promote themselves as a company that has cybersecurity products as well. So you can't tell yourself that you are a company that has all these products, that has all these services, but you never actually look into yourself and say, I didn't actually prioritize this, which is my main concern, right? So there's no excuse for Singtel. If you ask me, if this is some chapalang small company, sure, by all means, right? Because they don't have the investment, they don't have the money, don't have the profit to actually create a very huge, well-diverse security products or platform or teams. But Singtel, no excuse, my friend. Yeah.
Maybe they spend all the money to buy Trustwave. That's where they run out of money. that's half a billion, right? That was 500 million, 600 million. I can't remember what's the number. Yeah. Oh, but the good thing is, I got dividend from Singtel. That's quite good. They prioritize the shareholder. Yeah.
But finally, based on your argument, then we should be shooting FireEye, Microsoft, MWR Security as well, for getting hacked, and security companies,
Yeah, that's true. Right? I mean, we by right we should be blaming them, but we have gone through a whole generation and culture of not blaming them, right? We never, let's say there's a critical vulnerability for Microsoft that came out, right? We never go up in Microsoft, why are you having this vulnerability? Instead we are questioning our organization, why are we not patched with this vulnerability, right? So we never actually go to that well of blaming the company, right? But in this case it's different, because you can say Singtel for sure is holding a lot of our data. I mean, if you see like breaches from Microsoft or FireEye, I'm just using the company that you mentioned, there's no customer data that was affected. Not really. I can say for sure, but for Singtel there is, man, and it's crazy, right? It's crazy. 129,000 is no joke. So I think one of the things that we can actually move forward from here is, despite FTA calling themselves secure FTA, how else can we address this so that if, let's say, things happen, it will not be highly impacted like this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the whole point of why they bought Trustwave in the first place. You gotta check it out. Yeah, so now, I mean, we've supposed to move on to the last part of today's conversation. Actually, we're going to talk about the impact of the whole thing. But I think we talked enough really about the entire issue and what kind of impact it's really looking at. And the numbers themselves speak, like 129,000 client data leak. I mean, that's more than enough. So now let's move on to the last segment of today before we end the pilot episode, which is for every single person that's available right now to vote on the ultimate disaster scale. So for Singtel's incident with Aselian, for the breach, out of 1 to 5, how many stars do you think it is on the ultimate disaster scale?
So 5 being the?
5 being the most disastrous and 1 being the least disastrous.
I would say for Singtel, for 2021, I overrated as 5.
Nice. All in. All right. What about Randen? Let's go one round.
Also the same, 5.
5. Izzat?
Wow, you guys are savages.
No chance.
For any
First
upcoming
episode gonna.
breaches.
Yeah, no chance, no chance.
I'll give it a 4 for the legacy system, and yeah.
Okay. Watch out, Randen and Farley. Singtel gonna knock on your door tomorrow.
What?
No more internet for you.
So the condition of me putting as 5 is because of customer and client data. That's it. Right. If this doesn't affect customer and client data, our data, right, which they always continuously tell us that your data is safe with us, but it's not safe right now, and somehow it's being leaked outside. That's very impactful for us, right? If the data is not our data that is being affected, no customer or client data, I don't give a shit, right? I would probably say this is sure, why not? This is not my problem, right? But there is a customer and client, which is really, really problematic in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Right. So despite, so if you think about it, right, even Aselian, I mentioned that this is a secure FTA, like secure FTP, which end-to-end encryption and stuff like that. I think we can't really trust these companies whenever they come up with this kind of slogan that end-to-end encryption. So that's when we start to be complacent, right? Because we believe in this lingos that has been generated, end-to-end encryption, secure FTP,
the marketing BS.
like that. Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So out of complacency, we trust these companies, we trust their software, their application, and then we upload all this data in clear to a system that we believe is secure. So I think one of the things moving forward, right, if let's say if I were to develop if I were to have a secure FTP, for example, instead of just rely on the secure FTP, I would actually encrypt the data that I'm going to set, especially when there's PII or data classification, or that is confidential or secret or restricted. Encrypt it and then upload it to the FDA or any file transfer services, as an added precaution. So at least, even if they got hacked or my server got hacked, they get the encrypted data instead of the clear text data. So that is one of the things that we can actually be additional safe on top of just relying on the security product.
So your products, the marketing BS for your product will be very secured FTP. Yeah.
Secure square.
Yeah, secure square. But I want to add to a point on the rating. So I put my hat. So I think there's a question to ask is who's the victim in the whole episode, right? So I think the victim are really the customers who have data. I'm sure customer or staff with data leak. And if I'm the person with my data that being leaked to the dark web, I will definitely give a 5 rating of 5 because I will be personally affected, right, when such things happen to me. I think there's a segue here to say, look, what really transpired what happened between the attack to the point where the data gets into the dark web. What happened between the attacker and Singtel? I think there's kind of a segue for us to talk about what is the response? I think there's one part, right? I think we spoke a fair bit about, okay, fine, there's a part Singtel didn't do well in terms of attack being happened. There's no part of the response, right? What happened during response? What action could Singtel have done to sort of prevent that data being leaked to the dark web? I'm sure it's kind of, we probably run out of time, but it's probably a segue to discuss it in the next forum. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We can always leave it for the next. Yeah, the next.
For the other guests to deal with you are not the old man in the house. Yeah.
You're invited back, Pang Yong.
Thank
one more
you.
episode.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah.
Only Emil is
Earn my
on
keep.
the yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your rating, Fayong, out of 5?
If I'm the victim, 5. Well, you got to wear the victim hat. I think it's 5. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Okay, left with our last man in the house. Emil, what's your rating for?
Hold on, sorry. If you're not a victim,
Oh yeah. What if you're not victim, Fayong?
If you're not victim, that's a good point. I think if not victim, I would say it's a 4. I think they have responded fast enough. So there's 2 parts. Based on what we discussed today, at the holding position is given a 4. Considering the fact that they respond enough to patch, I think we need to do another conversation to say, look, how was their response to the incident, right? So maybe I'll give them a 5 after we discuss their response, right? Yeah, maybe they screw up in the entire response, and maybe that's the reason the data leak out to the internet. I'm not sure, right? So yeah, I'm not the victim. If I'm a victim, I think that's a hard 5. Yeah.
Yeah, we're most probably gonna wait for Singtel if they ever release, their
what happened?
their response. Yeah, if that ever happens, we'll have another episode on this whole thing again. Yeah. All right, so left with Emil.
Well, the initial thought that comes to my mind is about 3.5 and 4 kind of range. Generally, why I have that sentiment is because I feel that they have controls in place, just not good enough. And in terms of the breach, it's not a big crazy breach that has lots of cascading effect. But then, I must admit, I was a bit short-sighted in terms of until Farley was saying that, hey, it's actually personal data, it's PD. It's not just any data, right? And that kind of triggered a bit of emotion then, I guess, that still then, and I was thinking more towards like 4.5, and then Panyong hit the nail and say that, what if it's our data actually? Then I thought, if it's my data, I'll be really, really angry about it. So I think
Okay, next time I ask you first. I ask you first.
I-
So you don't have to listen to everybody and change your score.
Yeah.
I'll ask you first.
So I'll say about 4 or 5. I think I have a very similar sentiment as Panyong.
Yeah. Okay. So out of all the ratings I added myself, this is a 5 for me, as the same reason as what Farley has said. It's got to do with client data and a leak of a huge amount of client data, including IC numbers into dark web, which is a no, definitely. Yeah. So out of all the members today, so we declare that it's a 4.5. Taking the average, it's a 4.5 out of 5 on the ultimate disaster scale. Nice. And with that, I think we've come to the conclusion of our first pilot episode of Division 0 Unfiltered. But this is only the first part of our two-part saga of the Singtel breach itself. So next episode, we're going to talk about a slightly more touchy topic about whether or not they should have paid. Because on the report itself, they said, the hackers actually asked them for $250,000. And if Singtel should have paid for that particular amount for the hackers to delete the data, or should they not have, as what they have done? Yeah. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll get back the same crew and we'll have another discussion and another go at it. All right. Thanks for joining us today. Anything else you guys want to edit? Farley?
I'm really looking forward for the next one. I think the next one will be a controversial topic, and I believe it will generate a lot of interest. So I think if you guys are hearing this, please join next one.
Yes, please join us at our next episode, to pay or not to pay. With that, we will end today's discussion. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. It was fun. Bye.